So recently, we've had the news about fires that have broken out in primary schools as well as secondary schools, where a lot of children have actually lost their lives and some have even gone unaccounted for. This is a very dire situation. As professionals in the built environment, we are called upon to actually ensure that when we design and build these schools, we make sure that they actually meet the high standards of fire prevention. One important thing is to look at how we plan our schools. All fire exits and fire assembly points must be well marked. They must also be legible and easily accessible. The buildings that we construct must ensure that the openings, especially for doors, must open outwards to allow for easy exit, and the windows should remain unobstructed without grills and any objects that may obstruct exit from those schools. We also need to make sure that type of materials that we're using are also fire redundant. This is very key because it reduces the speed at which the fire spreads across the building, especially in the dormitories where these fires have occurred. It's also important that where there are fire extinguishers, additional fire buckets that have got sand in them are actually provided for. This is a very easy way for the children who are in these particular spaces to put out the fire. It's also important that buildings are actually built with 2 exits. One, to ensure that if the door is in the direction of the fire, the occupants are able to use the other door, and that's very key. These 2 exits should be clearly marked, and most important is that they should remain openable at all times. Where possible, it's important that as schools are being designed, smoke detectors and fire hydrant systems, together with firefighting systems, are actually installed, and ensuring that there's sufficient water at all times, so that in case of any fire, the fire hydrant system as well as the firefighting system is actually activated and to enable to put out the fire. Fire drills are very critical, and also firefighting training to personnel who are taking care of the young ones, as well as the staff and the children themselves who are using these schools, are actually taken through firefighting training so that in case of fire, they do understand what needs to happen. So as we move forward, I think it's also important that we have inspections in these schools, we have inspections across the board in institutions of learning, so that we make sure that they are actually responding to the requirements of fire safety and fire detection, as well as fire suppression going forward. And at AAK, we have all the professionals necessary to enable the government of Kenya to ensure that this particular requirement and standard is met.